Hey, yo.
Let me talk to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Hello and welcome to another fun-filled, COVID-fueled and sickness-injected episode of the Other Alliance Guys podcast. I'm the one doing all the suffering. My name is Tim. I go by NWA Gold, and I am joined by Dave Scooby. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Great. And our friend Jeremy, wrestling with the MMA. How are you, my friend?
I just read Willie's first comment. Good Lord, Willie.
We'll throw it up. Since Lord Bud Tyrus can't get the 10 pounds of gold, the Tournament of Roses Parade is looking for another float. Oh, Willie, we're so glad you're here, my friend. You're like the fourth member of this team right now. I think we love seeing you here every week. Thanks for being here. So, as mentioned, we are the Other Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance. And NWA. What we're looking at today is we're going to be starting with a deep dive of the NWA USA program, which had a couple of, I'll use the word interesting in a dangerous way, matches around the TV title qualifier matches to find who would be going into the TV title match, I imagine sometime very shortly. I don't think it was actually clear, but we'll be looking at that. We'll be touching on results from NWA Power. We leave the deep dive to the OG Alliance Guys tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Jeremy will be giving us the results out of Championship Wrestling from Memphis and Hollywood. And Dave will do some fantasy booking around the television title and very kindly agreeing to do what I thought was a good idea last week. How that 7 title defenses would look through the filter of the 7 levels of hate.
Yes.
And a very infamous, almost infamous program between Colt Cabana and Adam Pearce that drew national attention to the NWA in a time when national attention wasn't really being drawn to the NWA. So Dave's going to walk us through that a little later. So let's get into NWA USA, guys. Let's see, it's season 4, episode 5. And it starts us right off the bat with a 5-man TV title qualifier match. And so involved in this match, a 5-way match, are Ricky Morton, Jax Dane, Anthony Mayweather, the absolute favorite of Jeremy's, AJ Kazana, and Marche Rocket. So there's going to be 2 5-man matches today. This is the first of the 5-man qualifying matches. I say that, jokingly, of course, that Anthony Mayweather is Jeremy's favorite. Now you know he's not currently a huge fan. We have this little dumpster fire logo up here now, where we can throw up anytime that. Maybe we'll call it Wrestling with the MMA's Dumpster Fire of the Week. But I'll let you make that call as we go, Jeremy. So when the bell rings on this one, it's Dane uses Ricky Morton as a shield against Mayweather and kind of goes after him anyway. It was sort of amusing. Look, I'm going to kind of roll through this because it's hard with 5-man matches to sort of pick up and make notes, but also because everything happened in the first 3 minutes to get everybody out of this ring. Marche rolls up. I believe he rolls up Jack Stane in like 2 minutes, and Anthony Mayweather and Ricky Morton rolls up Jack Stane. There is a spear afterwards from Anthony Mayweather, Crimson, if you like, to Dane afterwards. By the way, guys, Dane is not looking in the best shape I've seen Dane in. He seems to be packing on the pounds.
Yeah.
Anyway, then AJ pins Ricky Morton, and this leaves Kazana and Marche Rocket as the last two after about 3 minutes of action. Now again, I mean, Ricky Morton, you can say Ricky is who he is right now, and that's fine. He's still a big name. Jack Stane is a bigger name, and so is Anthony Mayweather. But it came down really surprisingly between Kazana and Rocket. So Rocket starts with a wear down holds. AJ fights from underneath. After Marche misses a senton bomb, AJ taps him out with an armbar submission. Dave, what did you think of this match?
When I saw who was in it, I'm like, well, it's one of two people is going to win. And my thought on it is they're keeping the story going with Dane and Merriweather, but it's a story I'm not really interested in.
Yeah.
Ricky Morton is just there because of name value, and of the two guys that could have won, AJ needs the push. He's a newer talent, and Marche is in a tag team already.
Right.
But yet his tag partner is going to be in the other match. So I'm not sure where they're going with how they're pushing people towards titles. That if you're in a tag team, just stay in a tag team. If you're not going to be in a tag team, say, hey, we're not a tag team. We'll tag when needed, but we're not an actual tag team.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't understand some of the philosophy when they could have put another talent in there to push that isn't a tag team, or could use the rub of almost going the distance.
You know, I looked at this match and I had like this emotional reaction like you're supposed to have as a wrestling fan, where I went, this is an awful match and it's a bad choice for the final two here. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. I might appreciate Jack Stane and Jack Stane and to a lesser degree Anthony Mayweather more than I do AJ Kazana and Marche Rocket. But we're talking about the television title here, and we have an opportunity to set what that TV title is, Jeremy. Do you think that this was a good choice for this in the first of the qualifier matches to send AJ Kazana to the finals?
Of the five that they selected for this match, I felt that it was the right choice. It'll make for an interesting matchup between him and the winner of our second qualifier.
Right.
I feel it'll be an interesting matchup of styles and size as well, because you've got a big bruiser and AJ Kazana, and then you've got more of a technical guy in Clearwater. So,
Right.
Overall, I had to go back and watch this twice because the first 3 minutes of it was just a mess, I felt.
Yeah.
Rocket and Kazana had a decent match whenever it was just those two. I liked what they put together, but as a whole, it just I think I would have booked it differently. I wouldn't have put Mayweather and Dane in there. If you're going to have those two collide again, then have them do it in singles competition. Don't have them bring it into a match for something that's completely different. And then with Morton, I just no.
I didn't watch it twice. I didn't really want to see it again. And often I do watch USA twice because I like to watch it and then make notes later. But I'm pretty sure that Mayweather, as an example, was pinned after a suplex. And I don't think there was anything else before that.
No, no.
I think it was just kicks and punches and then suplex pin. And he was
Yep.
out. And Dane wasn't really any better. And I thought,
Yeah.
if you're going to put two guys who have traditionally looked fairly strong in the NWA, at least at the mid or in Dane's case, the upper mid card level in this, do more with what's going to happen in this match. Don't just, okay, everybody's out except for the final two in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It seemed like a waste of time to me. I don't know if it was the dumpster fire of the week or not, but I guess we'll.
No, it wasn't not my dumpster fire of the week anyway.
All right.
It's coming up though.
It's coming up. Well, we do get Kyle Davis with Magic Jake and CJ and Mercurio in the next segment, and Jake says he's out here together with Mercurio because they had a great match at 74, and he sees a future together with them, presumably as a tag team. And Mercurio kind of says, I like the way you talk, and I like your girl. And then Matt Vine is out with the Fixers right off the bat. And he says, you guys are a joke. And Magic Jake says, hey, look, you want to sound like a jackass? He snaps his fingers, ta-da. There's your magic trick. There's a lot of confused yelling, and just my viewpoint. It's like there's confused yelling. Wrecking Ball seems to be mentally broken by all the yelling that's going on. It was clunky. It was not good. And I guess Mercurio and Jake are a team now, Dave?
Well, it looks like it. I mean, Jake Hall came up with a name for them a couple weeks ago. Call them Smoke and Mirrors, and I mean that would be it's fitting for them. But if they are going to be a tag team, I mean, use them to build up going for the titles, but give us a good storyline. Maybe I missed it. I'll have to go back and watch. When did Matt Vine join the Fixers?
Like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, with zero explanation about anything on that.
Oh, that's right. He just popped up with them.
He just popped up. I mean, there's no, hey, we helped you out, you help us out. You're a junior fixer or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad. From what I've seen of him, he has a future. He can go in the ring. He has size. He has talent.
Mm-hmm.
But just little things like that, just give us a little explanation of who, what, why, when, and where.
Yeah, I could agree wholeheartedly.
Let us know. I mean, even if it's Joe saying, "Oh, look, Matt Vine, the Fixers took him under their wing, and I guess he's joined the Fixers. Let's go to Kyle and see what they have to say." Boom, a little explanation.
Yeah. And to that point, Pollo Del Mar's here. Always great to have you here, Pollo. Thank you for joining us. We're doing as well as can be expected. These guys are doing better than I am. I'm a little sick, but thanks for asking. But to that point, Dave, Pollo points out Matt Vine came out like Jack Victory joining the Sheepherders as their flag bearer in the UWF. That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it.
Yep.
He's like, oh, he's their he's their Jack Victory. One thing I did not get. Oh, thank you, Pollo. I appreciate that. And we love what you're bringing to the NWA.
Yes.
Since you've arrived, you and the Thrillbillies. It's a great pairing, and we're going to see more of that coming up soon. Jeremy, one thing I didn't get about this was, okay, so the Fixers have been presented as faces, but Matt Vine, who's just, again, like Dave said, no explanation. Basically a heel. It's a heel move to come out and interrupt the program against two other heels, but the tag team that he's with is face, and I don't get where it's going. What did you think of the segment?
It kind of felt like Kobe Carino 2.0. The Fixers just separated from Kobe, and now they've got another guy that's going to come out and get them into situations.
Yeah.
I don't feel that Vine needs to come out with anybody. He's good. He's good on the mic. He's great in the ring. I don't understand it. I don't get it. This left me scratching my head. I want to see the Smoke and Mirrors tag team. That intrigues me some. But the rest of this, I don't. Like Dave said, just a modicum of explanation would have been nice.
Yeah, Pollo says she doesn't know what the long-term plan is, but can give a little insight. Please do. We would love to hear it. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with just trying to get them some of the Fixers, Matt Vine anyway, maybe some of the Fixers rub, or getting as many people on TV as possible. I actually created just on my phone. I've been out kind of sick this week, and the list of the current roster as I could remember it from the NWA. There has to be 100 people on it right now. Like it is and I'm including tag team women. Yeah, I know it's surprising, but and singles for men. But so it is a large roster, and there's limited television time, so I'm sure that's part of it. Pollo says Vine was injured the day before tapings. Okay. I'm sure they wanted to showcase him however possible despite his inability to wrestle.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did see his arm in like the sling,
Yeah, that's true. Yes, he is wearing the sling. I had forgotten.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, 40 to 50 full time. I was including tag teams and female talent as well. It's
that's 40 to 50. That's
no. I'm telling you, it's almost 100 right now. What I'll do. James Bell is here. Why isn't the roster kept on the website? Well, I'll put these comments together because the boss is here. Hey, Jay. I'll put that roster up on the alliance-wrestling.com website. You guys can see it.
Yeah.
It is surprising how many. I was just scrolling through, and it was like 85 before I just went, holy crap, there's a lot more here than I thought there were. Mine came directly from ER to TV. There you go.
Dedication.
Wow, that's dedication.
And so definitely, if he's willing to do that, then get him in front of the camera however you can.
And as Dave was saying, Pollo, if they haven't found a team name yet, J Cal came up with Smoke and Mirrors for that tag team of Mercurio and the Magic Bastard. So I think it's a pretty good one. May was up next with Odinson, and she says to him, I immediately cringed because the last time I saw Odinson in a segment, I was not, he needs some work on the mic. Yeah. She says, you seem very aggressive recently, and you have a match coming up on Power and against Flip Gordon, and Odinson tells us that the son of Gordon will feel the violence of Odinson this week. May sort of says, are you suspended? You have a match, but you're suspended. And Odinson kind of says, would I be here if I was suspended? May says, I guess not, but what can you expect next week from Flip? And Odinson says, a lot of flippy action from him and a lot of violence from me. Basically he says, I'm shiny and chromed and blessed by Odin and a bunch of other stuff. He's better in this, Dave, than he has been in previous interviews.
Yeah.
What did you think of the segment?
He's growing into his character. He came from a tag team where he did half the work. Didn't really have to talk because Paro did the talking or screaming for the end. Um, it's just one of these things that if it's not done in front of a crowd, if it's done backstage, you can do several takes and piece it together.
Yep.
That I mean, I've seen people say online when they look at Odinson and then they hear him talk, it's two separate things. That you look at him, he's doing the Viking. He's a big muscular guy. He does the Mad Max chrome spray paint. But then when he talks, it doesn't back up what you see. That it'll take some time for him to get his character, but if they had somebody to talk for him, act as a manager / spokesperson for him, why not? I mean, Nick is talking for Flip. We really haven't heard that much from Flip. We've seen Flip.
Yep.
But Nick is doing the talking. Get someone else out there to do the talking for Odinson.
Yeah, and Poyo points out, he's got the look. 100% he does. The polish comes in getting him comfortable speaking. I think Poyo a few weeks ago pointed out here that, he was with Peril for a very long time and a much greater successful level of tag team than we've seen them paired in the past as the NWA. They did things abroad that were well received, and that he hasn't had to do a lot of speaking because of that, which is a great point. What did you think of this segment, Jeremy?
The first thing that I noticed was as soon as May got through asking her question, he immediately looked at the camera.
Yeah,
and appreciated that. I felt that with him being led and not being allowed to go too far astray in his own thought process and his own promo, May leading him helped out a lot with it. I could see where he was going with it. It could be polished up a little bit better, but that will come with time. And get him in front of the cameras, get him in front of the camera more, get him a mouthpiece that can not necessarily talk completely for him, but help him shape what it is he's trying to say with their words and their input. And you've got a top tier star there.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. But and I think everyone agrees too around a Paul Heyman-esque talking head, as Jay points out, for him.
Yeah.
I would like to say this in hopes that it gets back to him in the most positive, constructive way. If I never see another Asgardian uppercut again, I'm fine with that. It's seemingly still 80% of his move list right now, and it just makes me yawn. And I'm not a fan of the constant reusing of the same move over and over again.
I did make a suggestion to him for one, though. There was a clip that popped up from his match between Gordon, and I asked him what he was calling it, and it was a stalling Asgardian uppercut, and he just kind of stands there behind him while they're sitting in the middle of the ring, and he does that spinning uppercut into him.
Yeah.
And I asked him, and I told him that I had an idea for a name for it, but I didn't want to overstep my boundaries. And he asked what I thought and what it was, and I told him the Millionaire's Flight.
Oh, nice.
I thought was a good name for it, and he liked it, so I don't know.
That's great. Maybe we'll see it pop up next season.
We'll see an uppercut pop up.
There you go. We go then to Stanley's Drill with Bully Ray. Jamie Stanley is amusing. And, let's go back to Foyle for a second. You're all very harsh. He spent 75% of his career in a team where limited speaking and individual moveset are all that's required. Yes, I did mention that. He's
I don't mean to be harsh, honest. I want to see nothing but the best for the guy. He is definitely a top-tier talent.
He is a physical beast, and
Yes.
we certainly respect the ability. With just everything is done with love, as we say around here. Hey, restate the name for Pollo and
Molinier's Molinier's flight. I trying to get the name Molinier's flight. I believe is how Thor's hammer's name is pronounced. And whenever Thor goes to throw the hammer, he winds it up. So that kind of where I got the thought process from.
yeah, huge upside, absolutely.
Yes.
He's the look is there, and it's just going to be time. We get it. So yeah, it's certainly a tongue twister. So Jamie Stanley, one of my wife's favorites, not only in a physical capacity but just out of pure amusement. And I'll tell you, he grows on me all the time as a manager. So he's with Bully Ray, and he asks him a bunch of questions. Hey, how long you been wrestling, and who trained you, kid? You're a legend, or there's a legend, first ballot Hall of Famer. How else would you describe me? Bully has no answers for any of Jay's or Jamie Stanley's questions. And he says, hey, we could be a tag team, you and I. It's what do you say? And Bully finally slaps him on the arm and says, "Great idea." And Jamie Stanley kind of goes, what does that mean? And we're sort of done with that particular segment and left hanging. But we do go, if you guys will allow me, we do go directly into Jamie Stanley versus Bully Ray. So Bully is better than anyone I can think of actively wrestling in the NWA at working the crowd up. They are so happy to see him when he comes out. And as he does that, as he comes out and works with the crowd, we go to Kyle Davis in the control center, who says that Trevor Murdoch will sit with Joe Galley on Power this week. He lists the Power card to come. Back to the match. The only real downside for this match for me was one spot where there was a terrible drop kick that Bully sold admirably after Jamie's Stanley's jump start rather, and he takes over with chops and strikes, and he beats Stanley over the announce desk. Stanley's later is cocky with a foot pin. He can be really good, Jamie Stanley. His upside is that he can honestly be such an amazing talent. He's just waiting for something or someone to pluck him out of the rough. But it is a bully bomb, which Velvet calls a Bubba bomb. I'm going to forgive her for that. He's been Bubba Ray for longer, I would think, that he has been Bully. And I guess they won't be a team after all. Dave, I found it a little confusing that in the segment right before, Bully's like, you know what, great idea. And then off he goes. And then we immediately watch Bully, destroy Jamie Stanley. I'll go to Pollo in a second here as she's refuting some of the things I've said. But what did you think of the segment followed by the match?
The segment, I mean, it's one of those eye rollers that, like you said, Jamie Stanley sort of grows on you, whether it's a good or a bad way. How you take him, he's just like I said, it's an eye roller here and there, but I mean, it set the pace for the match. That Bully's just like, you're asking me stupid questions. I'm just here to fight. Let's fight and get it on. But like you said, Bully gets the crowd into it. That if half the talent in the NWA could go out there and get the crowd going before their match, go out. Hey, if you're a heel, don't high five the crowd, but respond to the crowd in a negative way to get them to respond to you.
Yeah.
That if you're the quote unquote good guy and not the heel, get them clapping, get them chanting NWA, get them going. It was almost like he lit a match and the whole crowd just went up in flames. Boom. They just responded. And just within seconds, NWA, just the chant going.
He's teaching a master class of that right now. Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, it amazes me that it's little things here and there. And I mean, he's been wrestling 30 plus years at least.
Yep.
But he needs to have the rest of the wrestlers, the men, the women, even the management, watch what he does.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
If you can even get 10% of the crowd to respond to you, do it. That it's to me, it's almost like some of the Japanese matches that I've watched on YouTube, that they sit there in silence. Well, over there, it's a term of endearment. We're watching you. We're being quiet because this is how we show we're interested in the match. Whereas here in the U.S., hey, if it's quiet, if you can hear chirp, 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 that's not a good thing.
It's true.
You either get a response, good, bad, or indifferent. You need to get a response from that crowd for what you're doing. If you're doing a good job and they're yelling, that's good. If you're doing something bad and they're booing, hey, a response is a response.
You know, James says Bully's done this at every NWA appearance. Yeah, he really is showing that company, that roster, how that's done. I just want to go back before I go to you, Jeremy. Here, David said, or excuse me, Jay had said, remember how Aldis put over? He's talking about Odinson a couple of seasons back. I'd missed that one. Yeah, for sure. And Poyo was saying, for whipping up that crowd. I agree. I think you're you're great. Bully and Belly. And I was corrected. I stand corrected or sit corrected currently. So I was talking about that drop kick that Bully. I thought Bully had tried to sell admirably, but Poyo says no. He knows of that drop kick and whooped his butt afterwards. It clearly pissed him off. So there you go. Jeremy, Bully Ray. When I heard he was coming back, I shouldn't even say really coming back, because I don't think of Bully as an NWA guy. I think of him as an ECW, WWE guy. But I went, okay, well, it'll be fun. I'm not really big on Mike Knox at the time that this started, but from the get-go, he's really drawn my attention. And I'm pretty sure we're around the same age, he and I. He looks like he's in great shape and that he can still go. What did you think of his match with Jamie Stanley?
I think that bringing Bully in was was a great plan. He brings, like Dave said, he brings that knowledge to the NWA. Everybody from Billy all the way down to the cameraman can learn something from Bully Ray, because he's been in this business for so long and he lives this business. The match was pretty good. I think it was a good way to put this for Bully to put the spotlight on Stanley like he did Knox and kind of give him a rub a little bit. I don't think this will be the last that we see of those two going up against each other. I think that there's something there. I don't know, but I'd be interested to see them go up against each other again.
Yeah, Jay says he'd like to see Stanley face Stanley fight a heel Clearwater for the TV title. But on Bully here, Poyo points out people who act like Bully's not a great addition to the NWA out of their mind. 100% agree.
Yep.
He's a countless time tag and 2-time Impact World Champion, and when I was looking up, we're going to be talking about the 7 levels of hate and how it could be rolled out. Dave's going to talk about that in a little bit. In the year that the 7 levels of hate was PWI's third runner-up for the feud of the year, which is 2012. The Aces and Eights versus TNA was number 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like coming out of Impact was feud of the year, and that's Bully Ray, baby. I mean,
Yep.
he is a compelling guy on the Busted Open Radio podcast. He is. Yeah, I mean, like and if you haven't listened to it, I don't know if I have it strictly on Sirius XM or not, but I listened to long clips of it on Apple Podcasts, for example. He and Mark Henry and Tommy Dreamer are very thoughtful, well-spoken guys as well, and really, really fun to listen to with Dave LaGreca on the podcast there. Unquestionably a top contender to any title. It's not like he's visibly diminished in skill, appearance, or physique with age. No, he's as thick as ever, but I swear he looks like he's stronger than ever. So I think it's wonderful to see him around right now. We go back to backstage with May is with Rolando Freeman.
You can insert the dumpster fire for me here.
Oh, this is the dumpster fire for you?
This is my dumpster fire.
Put up your logo there, right above you. There you go. She says, "Hey, listen, you beat Matt Cardona twice. Tell us your backstory. Where are you from?" And Rolando says, "I'm from a place of blood, sweat, and tears. You know, my destiny is written in the stars." May just sort of says, "Okay. What's next for you then?" And Rolando says, "Why haven't I gotten a title shot? I'm calling out you, Trevor Murdoch. If I get my way, it's going to be way harder than hard times if that happens." And so I'm gonna let Jeremy go first because he looks like he's about ready to bust here. But what did you think of Rolando Freeman in this? Well, I mean, I put the dumpster fire logo up. What about this did you not appreciate?
Everything. I will never take this guy seriously. Talking it I get it. It's funny. It's a shtick, but I've grown bored of it. It's grating to me.
I think, Dave, that if at Hard Times 3, Trevor Murdoch comes out and just says, "Give me Rolando Freeman right now," and then just picks him up and pile drives him and pins him, I don't think it does anything against Rolando at all.
No.
It's a moment of amusement before Trevor goes into the big fight later in the night. What do you think about that, Dave?
Yeah, it's like you asked for it, you got it. Okay, let's move on to my match. Boom. One and done. The story with Cardona was almost like a Razor Ramon 1, 2, 3 kid. Oh, the upset.
Yeah.
But then it's outlived its little spark. It was good when it happened, but they're carrying the storyline down a little too. They're stretching it out too much.
I've got to think that it really has to do a fair bit with that condensed taping schedule, where they're taping everything so close together, but it's rolling out to us over months. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if really it isn't, also done at this point. But I would hope that at Hard Times 3 that'll probably be the end of it. We get May with La Rebellion, and she has a lot of questions that they answer in Spanish, and I'm sorry I don't speak Spanish. But Mecha Wolf tells us that there's 287 days that they held the titles, and that's why all the great teams are coming here. No one's better than us. I noticed there's still only one belt, so I guess by the time they tape this, Davey Boy Jr. hasn't turned his title back in yet. I'm not sure what's up there. I actually wanted to point out I do appreciate that there is a Spanish almost segment on a fairly regular basis
Yeah.
for this. He has a lot. You guys have a large Spanish speaking population, especially south of the southern parts of the U.S. I would think as well. It would be very similar as if there was a French segment up here for us. So I kind of appreciate that. Before we look at that, Poyo says this. Here's my perspective. The NWA is beginning to develop characters at once. Many characters at once. So Rolando is one of those, and perhaps we'll see some progression over time. Or perhaps he's worked his magic and settles in somewhere else. We taped the days after the pay-per-view. Harry was MIA, and so was the title. Yeah, I think it's really it's cool they have Damien say there to hold the title for both of them. It's fine. It doesn't take away from La Rebellion to me. There's just kind of one right now. But yeah, not really much to this segment, guys. Anything here for you, Dave?
Well, I mean, I like yourself. I don't speak Spanish. I have a hard time ordering a taco at Taco Bell. So it's just the little things. Subtitles. It's already in the can.
Yeah.
If they're going to do it, I mean, it was maybe minute and a half, and I mean, you don't have to tell the whole story, but just give us a little glimpse of what they're talking about.
Yep.
I mean, subtitles. It's just it's confusing if you don't know what the storyline is.
Yeah.
You can tell by the inflection and the way they're talking. Basically, they're saying, we're the tag team champions. Nobody can beat us.
Yep.
Put that in a little text at the bottom of the screen, just for all of us that aren't multilingual. It's just the little thing.
I think that makes sense. It's always the little things, as we try to say when you come at it from a sense of here's some thoughts that might help improve. I wonder, Jeremy, are sometimes segments like this, do they just feel like time filler when you could have maybe had a match like the 5-man match at the start of this or at the end of this, which is up next, go a little longer and make a little more sense? Or do you think that there's some value in this type of thing, this type of segment?
A little bit of both. You're giving your tag team some screen time, but in the same instance, you're shorting 10 other wrestlers 2 to 3 minutes that could have been tacked onto their match.
Right.
And between this and the Rolando segment, you could have had 2.5 minutes tacked onto each match, roughly, instead of having these, and made it feel like a more cohesive show. I don't mind segments; they serve their place. But whenever you're running 45 minutes tops, do you really need to have 3 to 4 segments? A backstage or so and so talking to this person? I don't know. I don't think you do, but I don't make those decisions.
And I always often feel like when I start off wanting to say, hey, we're not in television, we don't know how hard it would be to have a match. Okay, you guys go 7 minutes instead of 5, right, so that Anthony Mayweather doesn't get pinned after one suplex and it's done, and Jack Stain doesn't get rolled up after 2 minutes of, just to try to stretch that out a little bit. But it's got to be certainly be possible. And I also kind of temper those thoughts about, hey, we're not in TV. We don't know. We are a fan base, all of us in the NWA family. And I'm going to put up some great comments by Poyo in a second. That is more knowledgeable about what goes on in the sport that we love than probably any other sport or dare I say use the word entertainment, anywhere else on a professional level. I'm Canadian. Hockey is life. I don't know what goes on in the boardrooms of the Players Association or the managers. I have no idea, but we all know what's happening at almost every level. So I feel like we do have some knowledge and just as a whole fan base, and then it should probably be something that could be achievable to make your Jack Stands continue to look strong by getting a few more minutes of action in a match than, and maybe cutting out the tag team champions of the world just saying we're the best. There wasn't too much point to it.
Because how odd is it that Ricky Morton and AJ Kazana came out looking the strongest in that first match?
Right. Well,
I mean, Ricky Morton now has pinned Jack Stain.
Yeah. But listen, a lot of that too might also just be that Ricky's Ricky, and even if he's got very little left in the tank, he knows where he's supposed to be. A friend of mine in the NWA family, John Ware, said to me on Twitter, "It's like Ricky always knows where he's supposed to be. Like, don't forget how good he is, just for ring awareness." So
yeah.
Some great comments by Poyo here. My point of view relating to what we're seeing from so many different characters in the NWA is that slowly but surely, fans are being introduced to new faces, new players, and each of us, since I'm in that batch, get to run with that, with what we are given to see what fans in attendance and watching it at home take to. It's a great environment to work in right now. I'm so glad to hear that. We hear so much negativity about pro wrestling locker rooms, and to hear that like we're just having so much fun bringing new combinations and new faces and new ideas, and we're trying things out to see what sticks. It really makes me happy. She goes on to say, 6 months ago the argument was the NWA depended too heavily on former this and former that instead of building new faces and players. We get to see NWA give people opportunities to shine. Y'all have some power because you undoubtedly tell NWA by socials what you're most drawn to. Yeah, no, sorry, August fuck. Yeah, no worries.
No worries at all. That's one of those that, I know I sit here and I bash the Rolando segment and everything, but at the end of the day, I want nothing but the best for every talent that's in the NWA.
Yeah.
I just don't get the Rolando segment. I'm a 6'2", 240-pound man, and I see Rolando as that little chihuahua down the street barking at me. I've never liked little yapping dogs, and that's kind of what he comes across to me as. So,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's sort of a Ron Swansonism. If any dog under 50 pounds is a cat, and cats are pointless. But anyway, I do think that the new faces, the new ideas, and all that stuff is great. And I'm so glad that they hear us in the audience feeding back. But I will say this: when we're talking about, the complaint is you talk too much about former this or former that. The NWA portends to have legacy and tradition as the stalwart pillars of what they are. That title since 1948. There's big gold over there. That's the British Commonwealth Championship. There's others. It's about a legacy that goes back to the beginning of wrestling in North America. And if that is your foundation, and the wrestling that foundation produced when you're talking about the angles and what those fans traditionally wanted. This is not currently that. And I think a lot of people, myself included, originally tuned in because that was the idea.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I don't know. What do you think, Dave? Like, I first tuned back in for the Lightning One era when the Rock and Roll Express, a friend of mine called me up, said the Rock and Roll Express just won the World Tag Team titles. And I went, what? Get out of here. I haven't watched wrestling in 15 years, Are they, I know we're probably getting a bit off track here, but are they, is it fair to say if you're going to have a basis in tradition and legacy and that maybe what we're seeing now still needs some improvement, or should we be going to that stuff of yesterday, or do you think that
Well,
moving forward is yeah,
I mean, you have to move forward and change with the times, but
right,
you can always reference the past. I look at it as almost like, okay, Coca-Cola's been around forever. Then they did the new Coke. People revolted. They changed back to Coke Classic. It's one of these things. We don't have to present the NWA as it was. We just have to highlight bits and pieces. Hey, remember when this happened? This match is similar to this. That when you look at Trevor Murdoch, you think of, oh, he's a big guy. He's like Dusty Rhodes. He's like Dick Murdoch. He's just a big badass. He's not your stereotypical muscle-bound wrestler.
right,
And that's the one thing I do like about the NWA is they have a wide variety of wrestlers and talent that are all, they're not all, oh, this is wrestler A, this is wrestler B. They're all 6'5", they're all 275 pounds. Oh, this is female wrestler, she's blonde. This is female wrestler, she's a redhead. No, there's a wide variety of people, different shapes, sizes, and styles. And like they say, styles make fights. That if you have your tag champs, La Rebellion, they are in the lucha style, but they'll go face to face
right,
and fight. Not only wrestle, but they will fight. That the NWA has to highlight all these different styles and all these different wrestlers. They can go back to the past, but they have to move forward and make sure that there's a future. And I
Yeah.
do like that they're giving different people a chance. It doesn't have to say that, I mean, going into the TV title, okay, these guys have been around for a couple tapings. AJ's been around. Jordan's been around a little longer. But hey, if Jordan wins the TV title, they're keeping it, quote unquote, in the family.
right.
But I like that they're giving newer talent a chance at least. That even in them losing a match, it builds up. Jamie Stanley, you may not like his attitude, but him going against Bully, that raises his stock, even in a loss.
Yep.
So I think the NWA is doing good. They could be doing better, but it's one of these things that they're cramming everything they have in 4 to 5 days of tapings, and then it's playing out over 2 months. That we just need to sometimes let it breathe and see what happens.
I agree. Wise words, and I think Poyo says something along the same lines. If we exclude the opportunity for the tradition to evolve and grow, we will be trapped as a nostalgia act. The key is a mixture.
Yes.
I agree. But I think most of us came here for the nostalgia to begin with, but we do expect that future look forward and how things will grow. I just want it to grow in the same vein that NWA fans were used to. But anyway, why are Thrillbilly and I not allowed to be a throwback to a bygone era with an unexpected and very modern twist? Why can't we see people like AJ Kazana as a throwback to grapplers of the past in the present? No, I don't think I look at that in that particular way. What do you think, Jeremy?
Now, I do get that vibe though, because I do refer to AJ as your classic brawler barroom type guy, a Harley Race throwback, Dick the Bruiser kind of, just a big burly guy, but he does have that modern twist to him, and on the flip side of that, there are so many parallels that I see between Pollo's managing style and her mentor Cornette, her idol Jim Cornette, and she puts that modern twist on it, and it adds that extra little kick that just makes it that much better for me, and the Thrillbilly's another one that is a great throwback looking wrestler with a great modern twist to him, It
Yeah,
just
I agree. I do think it is a throwback to a bygone era. AJ Kazana and Pollo Del Mar. I almost hate to make comparisons because you're such a unique and interesting
right.
pairing yourselves. But I don't know. Just for the hell of it, like a Dick Murdoch or a Ron Bass and a baby doll. I mean, it's
There you go.
there are those combinations. There is that mixture. Anyway, and Pollo, we always respect what you were saying as well. It's making a point to the comparison opportunities. Thank you. Hey, Carlton's here. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you again. Let us finish up with NWA USA, though, because we got a ways to go, and it's already 7. Caprice Coleman versus Jordan Clearwater versus Russ Freeman versus Pope versus Max the Impaler, and a 5-person TV title qualifier. I'm clapping because I was very happy to see Max the Impaler wrestling in a men's match here as your non-binary nightmare. It's the first that I can recall the time this has happened since their arrival to the NWA, and I don't think it's happened before. I think that they've just wrestled women to date.
Yeah.
But they play it out of the match at the start of the match. Everyone's kind of looking like, how are we going to do this? Which was interesting. Yeah, Max making history, as Pollo says. And Max takes it to everyone at the start of the match when nobody seems to know what to do against them. They each take turns, trying to smash them. In the end, they kind of team up on her, and Freeman and Clearwater pin Max together. After Max crushes both of them, there's a 2-person pin. They argue over the pin afterwards. Max is eliminated. Pope eliminates. I may have gotten it wrong with Anthony Mayweather, and I see the note here. He eliminates Freeman after a suplex. That might just be the one move that he took. But Pope eliminates Freeman with the suplex. Pope versus Coleman, Caprice Coleman, with Clearwater on the outside is what's left. This was the highlight of the show for me. They mirror each other in moves as they get going in the ring. They show all kinds of sportsmanship. They both turn on Clearwater as he runs in. They take turns smashing him down. And then Caprice, out of the blue, eliminates Pope, and it's all good. He shakes hands. All right, good for you, man. Rolled him up from behind. I loved it. And immediately my thought was like, how great a tag team would this be?
Yep.
Caprice gets a ton of offense on Clearwater, but Clearwater takes over. He hits the minus touch for a clean win. And it'll be Jordan Clearwater versus AJ Kazana for the TV title at some indeterminate point, I think. I don't believe they said. What did you think of the match, Dave?
I thought it was a good match. I mean, the way it started off with them not really knowing how to deal with Max being in the match. That it's like, okay, it's one of these things, step up or step out.
Yep.
Max came at him, and it's like, this is a wrestling match. It's not it's not a game of, oh, I'm a guy, Max is a they, I feel weird going against someone that is not the same as I am. So it's one of these things. Times have changed. If you're going to step up and step into a ring, it shouldn't matter whether you're male, female, non-binary, whatever. There are so many wrestlers, not female wrestlers, not male wrestlers, wrestlers that are out and about doing intergender matches. Everybody in the NWA is a wrestler. If you can't wrestle against another wrestler, you don't need to be in the NWA.
Yeah, you know what? And with Jeremy's point there, I just thought, you know what? We are three guys from geographically three different parts of this continent, right? I'm up near Toronto. You guys are in Colorado and Maryland. And I think we all agree, Jeremy, that we're happy to be watching a product that allows for, you know, this new, I guess it's a new day in wrestling. It's certainly in the early goings that has this kind of thing happen, allows Max to be, you know, featured as a wrestler, like Dave says, rather than just a, you know, wrestling female wrestlers. What did you think of this match, and what did you think of Max's showing specifically?
I wrote down that I appreciated that they had to that they had it to where two guys had to pin Max. I thought that was the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
It did not make her look. It did not make them look weak at all. There are multiple women, multiple female talents on WWE, NWA, AEW, MLW, CMLL, AAA that you could put in the ring across from a Nick Aldis, Trevor Murdoch, whoever, and I would sit there, and as long as they produced it right, I would be sitting there in belief that this female could logically beat this male wrestler. I agree with Dave that at the end of the day, they are all wrestlers, and if you can't get into the ring and wrestle whoever you're booked against, then you probably don't need to be doing this anymore. That's intergender is something that has been going on for quite some time in the more independent scene, and we've seen it pop its head up here in the WWE and stuff here and there, but I do think it's time to go and just make that transition. If you've got talent out there that are willing to work together, then let them work together. You know. I think you're muted.
Thank you. I was coughing, so I didn't mute myself. Thank you. I thought a couple things. One is, like, I'm really happy to be involved as a fan with a company that's as progressive as the NWA. And when they are producing stuff that I'm not the largest fan of from time to time, I'll kind of go, what are we watching here? But then we get something, like this, and like not just because she's here, but like a character um, of Poyo with Thrill Billy, who points out that China was 25 years ago. And we believed in her. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I
Yeah,
did.
I did.
Yeah,
100%.
that I'm it makes me happy that this is something that we can do. And the other thing I thought is social media plays such an amazing part in bringing all of this information together for us to make our own decisions on what we like and what we don't here. But it also helps beyond that, like in the sense that if you go on Twitter and you look up your non-binary nightmare right now, she posted a video today from the back where she said, "For all you people who think I'm fat and out of shape, I'm 230 pounds." They said, excuse me. Get on the rings. She had the 2 rings hanging overhead. See how many pull-ups you can do. I can do 4. And I thought there's no way I could do 1. like,
Right.
like
Right.
it's not something that 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 I don't think many of us could do. So legit, that it's an athlete regardless of gender, and not even regardless of gender. Just gender isn't all that important anymore. Medusa was a WCW cruiserweight champion. Jazz started out wrestling, man. Those are 2 of our
Yep.
agents and producers. Yep.
And Jazz is one of those that I would put in that category of you could put her across from anybody, and I would believably think that she could come out on top because I don't care what Ronda Rousey says. Jazz is still to me one of the baddest bitches on the planet.
Yeah, you listen. You put me in a room and say you got to fight either Rodney Mack or Jazz. I'm not sure who I'm going to choose.
I think I'd probably go after Rodney Mack. I think it'd probably be a little bit quicker. I think Jazz would draw it out and enjoy it.
Yeah, we'd probably get hurt more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to some of the other comments here. James Bell says, Max and Pollo also work their craft, so as fans we buy in quickly. Yep. Yeah, they're very good. And Thrillbilly's cool. It's really on another level. I got so worried in the beginning, because the NWA traditionally has those, when you knew and you lose. There were so many losses for Thrillbilly that it was gonna diminish that combination, and it didn't for me. If anything, to see you guys coming back every week was awesome.
Yep.
Anyway, let us go on to Power. Season 10, Episode 5. We'll just do the results quickly. Flip Gordon fought Odinson in the start. It was, for me anyway, it was joined in progress for some reason. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't get a lead into it. They were already wrestling.
Yeah.
It's Odinson with the win. Afterwards, he goes and gets a chain. Aldis runs in to make the save. I don't know if it was just where it fell in the taping schedule or what, but nobody cheered. Maybe people were tired. I don't know. But afterwards, Aldis goes with Kyle to the podium. And he says a very strange twist on their little feud. He says that he believes that Odinson is working on behalf of Billy Corgan. And not only are you not on my level, I think you're doing this on behalf of WPC. Dave, your thoughts about Flip Gordon versus Odinson and the comments after the match?
The match itself was good. I would still like to see Odinson widen his variety of moves.
Yeah.
But he's a character that is being pushed for the first time. He came from a tag team where he went in and did his thing, then his tag partner came in and they did their finishing move. He's getting used to being the only one in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of these things of the match itself was good. I think Flip Gordon, if he stays with the NWA, has a chance to prove himself down the line. And being that Nick has him quote unquote under his wing, it could help or hurt him depending on if the storyline of all the dissension amongst the ranks of Billy and Nick is true. Even if it isn't, it's I now have someone that is that I'm helping, unlike you. So more or less, I mean, it was good to see Nick come in and help someone, but not actually be involved in the match. I know they're doing the injury angle, but I think what they're doing in having some of their main characters from the past help build up new characters. So I'm hoping this storyline has a good ending to it, if there is such thing as a good ending. I just hope they bring this to hard times, because by then, quote unquote, Nick should be off the injured reserve list or not injured and be able to wrestle. And I think him being in the ring, if he and Odinson go at it, it will help Odinson widen his grasp of how to work in a ring by yourself and not depend on a tag partner. And I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he was in a tag team, but reality-wise, he's having to relearn how to wrestle without taking a break. That the match is all on him. It's not, oh, I jump in, oh, I tag out. I jump back in, I tag out. It's just, it's one of those things that over time, he'll build up his repertoire of different moves. And I think putting him in a match with Flip Gordon and down the line with Nick Aldis, if it does happen, it's good for everybody involved.
I agree. If it's done right, I agree.
Yes.
Carlton says Odinson's cool, but this is sad. They should have kept him as a tag partner. Aldis is our era's Bockwinkel. I've never thought about that before. That's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
And we are wasting him. It's not good at all. So I guess the point is to elevate Odinson by having him get the rub from Aldis. What I worry about, just to what I was saying there, Dave, was is that if it Aldis is so good, and I know we kind of go, okay, we've had our fill for a while, every once in a while. He's so good that he kind of sucks up all the oxygen in the room. And it's not his fault. It's just that's how good he is at his craft. But when he does a run in and then he hits the microphone and says, "You're not on my level," it seems to try to take away from the match and say, "Here's something on an Aldis angle rather than an Odinson push." Jeremy, what did you think? Were you surprised by the "I think you're a mouthpiece for or a strong arm for William Patrick Corgan" at the end of this?
No, I wasn't surprised by it. I'm surprised it took us so long for us to get another piece of the art to the story between Aldis and Corgan. Honestly, I figured we'd see it a little bit sooner.
Yeah. I was just typing in there. Jay said, I never disliked Bockwinkel. Me neither.
No.
he was great. He didn't get the attention in my geographic area of the hood that others did. But going back over the last 20 years or so, watching Bockwinkel matches, wow, what a talent! I mean, just incredible individual. Anyway, let's not spend too much time on Power. I'll leave that for the guys tomorrow. We get Galley with Murdoch earlier today. Basically, Murdoch says, I don't care who I face at Hard Times 3. I'm going to come out as champion. I don't care. I have no preference on who I'll face because everyone is my enemy. Bang on. This is what we want from Trevor Murdoch, right, guys? This is the best version of Trevor Murdoch, I think, right now, as we seem to say every week. We got May with Genocide. Jenna's excited to face Camille in a title match someday, but Camille's not ready for this non-title match to say what she's going to bring. That's about all there is to that. And then we go into a match from EC3 versus the debuting Trax. We get some background on Trax about how he's been around for about 10 years. He guy looks like a powerhouse machine. He gets some decent offense in the match, but it is EC3 with a purpose to win, and kind of a clunky match for me, Dave. But I'll combine it with the segment before I throw it to you that follows. EC3 is with Kyle Davis afterwards, and he's kind of goading Latimer into a fight. He actually kind of runs down, I guess this is part of Control Your Narrative. He kind of runs down how pro wrestling works. This is the point where the babyface comes out and, interrupts the segment. And this is when Latimer actually comes out, and says, basically it's like, there's a ring. Let's go fight now. EC3 says, you're controlled by, I think he says, by love. And this is your demon. You have to exercise it. Latimer says, bollocks to that. Let's fight. And EC3 says, listen to the crowd. This is just, you're feeding your own dopamine right now. The nostalgia lives here. It's all bullshit. You and I will fight at Hard Times 3. You've been warned. Dave, what did you think of the match and then the segment that followed and how they rolled together?
I thought, the match was what it was. It was the purpose of the match was to continue to build EC3 as the essential character. And after the match, when he called out Latimer, the purpose was basically the challenge that EC3 has his beliefs, Tom has his beliefs. We'll take care of it in the ring. Not now. We'll take care of it at Hard Times. It's building both characters. EC3 is new to the NWA, but I do like that he is actually basically making fun of the way things have been done year after year, decade after decade. That basically, it's almost reminding me of Owen Hart, where it's time for a change. That he's sick and tired, and it's time for a change. Things have been done this way for forever, quote unquote. It's time for a change. And EC3, in his mind, is the change. I'm not sure where they're going, but I think it's building Tom up very quick.
Yeah.
Right now, Tom isn't involved with any storyline for a belt. And I have no idea how long EC3 is going to be around the NWA, but the longer the better for me.
Yeah.
It's almost like throwing a wrench in to a motor and stopping it. That, okay, hey, the NWA, he's even saying the Nostalgia Wrestling Alliance. You can't always live off of your past. You have to move forward. And that's what his control your narrative, in his mind, what he's wanting to do. So
Jeremy,
I'm actually excited for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We've had a lot of comparisons, I think last time, Jeremy, with EC3 to Raven. Does he seem like the Raven of today to you, or is it something different?
I get that vibe in a lot of ways. Minus the Pearl Jam grungy look, it's essentially kind of the same message. This is the whole world's a stage and we're all just players. But you can break away from that. You can break that mold and cut those strings. It's a novel idea, but we'll see where it goes.
I need look. There is something in control your narrative. I've always thought this since it started that is interesting, but
Yeah.
I need it explained to me like I'm 5. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Like, tell me what it is that the focus of CYN is.
In the most layman of layman's terms.
Yep. Break it down and I'll buy into it, I'm sure. But we're not there yet for me.
Yeah.
But regardless, CYN or otherwise, I EC3 is a compelling dude, and he's right up there, honestly, with me with guys like Aldis and Chris Masters, Chris Adonis, excuse me,
Yeah.
as guys we're like, wow, why aren't they up in one of the big 2 right now? Carlton says this is why CYN was trash, blah, blah, blah. 74 years versus 3 months. Yeah, it's been around a lot longer than 3 months, but it isn't 74 years. We'll give you that.
Yeah.
Also, Murdoch's a great worker, just like the greatest in the world has seen Harley race. We need this. We need this from him. Give me 83 Harley, willing to do anything to keep the belt. You know what
that.
Yeah.
I like
You know what I really dig about Trevor right now is that there's all these big flashy things going on in the NWA. You got this TV thing right up front. You got Latimer and EC3. You got everything going on with Odinson and all this. You've got Bully versus the World or whatever. And just in the background, not even central to like what you're throwing out there. It's like you got Trevor Murdoch with the world heavyweight title over his shoulder, kind of walking by and going, let me know when it's my turn. And I'll beat the hell out of all of you, and I'll see you at the next pay-per-view. Like, he doesn't even need to be the center of your program.
Yep.
They often say things like, "You'll come to this event, you'll see Camille, you'll see Chris Adonis, you'll see this and that. Also, Trevor Murdoch will be there, your world heavyweight champion." And he doesn't need to be in front of the camera all the time. And regardless of that, I still want him to be our champion for a long time to come.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's blow through it because I'm really dragging things on. We get May with Taya Valkyrie. She asks about what it's like to face Camille. I haven't seen Taya speak in the NWA yet before, but she says she's big and intimidating and she got the best of me, but I'm going to get her next time. And then May says, Bully says that Kylan is a better opponent. And Taya's like, Bully, why? Why would you say such a thing? And that's the end of that. Camille's with it's Camille versus Genocide. It is Camille with the win, something of a basic match. Dave with the spear. What did you think of Genocide versus Camille? Non-title match.
I was actually glad to see Genocide wrestle. I think this is going to be a match for the championship down the line. But I do like that they are building up quite a few different contenders for Camille. I'm very interested in the dynamic of the top 3 women right now, where you have Genocide, who, even though she didn't win, her stock went up just being in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
That if I'm not sure what's going to happen at Triple Mania coming up on the 15th with Camille and Taya. It is for the AAA championship, or the Reina de Reinas championship.
Right.
But that storyline will carry over to Hard Times. And I think the storyline, you don't have to change champions. The storyline will take care of itself in the just them fighting each other. But like I said a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't mind seeing Deonna Purrazzo tip her toe in the NWA waters, being that she's tag team champion with Chelsea Green, who has also had to deal with Camille and Kylan. Right now, the women's division looks very, very strong. If they do the women's TV title, there's going to be quite a few women fighting for both belts.
Would you, Jeremy, if Deonna Purrazzo were to come over into the NWA and, you know, other members of their talent roster, would you, I know we've talked about this on different levels of the Alliance guys, would you welcome Impact as like a partner with the NWA, with their belts present or their talent present, or would you prefer to keep the two separate? And also, what'd you think of this match?
I'd welcome anybody that's wanting to work with the NWA with open arms.
Right.
You know, you got dream matches that could happen. You know, there's the crossover between Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea being a tag team in Impact. They could come over and do that in NWA as well. They could both go single competitor in the NWA and just completely not necessarily ignore that they're a tag team, but not be a tag team in the NWA in search of their own gold there, but help out each other as a tag team would.
Right.
You know, the match was good. Being as it was a non-title match, Camille wouldn't have looked, to me anyways, Camille wouldn't have looked weak if she had lost one. If they had done it in the ring right, played the story out right in the ring, and still would have elevated Genocide. She's elevated by being in the match, but I think it would have added a little bit. It would have cleared up some of that mystique a little bit. We've already seen Camille push to the limit a couple weeks back to where it was a draw between her and Allison Kay. So
Right.
You know, they're pushing this one-time narrative. I think by giving her a loss in this, it creates that slight shadow of doubt in the back of the head that there are people that could possibly beat Camille, you know, any given Sunday, you know, and I think it doesn't necessarily make her weak, but kind of adds to that, you know. She's kind of bouncing between that tweener face right now, so this would help elevate that face a little bit, I think.
I thought the same thing about, wouldn't it be interesting if she lost right now in a non-title match to someone who's not considered really the top three, right? But someone who we all look at as like being on the verge of being the top of the women's division in Genocide. Like I thought, well, what if she, she misses a spear, she hits the ring post, and her shoulder's screwed up, and Genocide just works that shoulder, and she taps, and everyone goes, "Oh my god!" Like that would have been, and then give her the mic afterwards, Camille, and say like, "I got Taya at Hard Times 3, and I had to tap out because of the damage that you were doing, but like you're next up."
Yeah.
Like that would have been, I thought, great as well. But hey, I mean, we're fantasy booking, and that's Dave's job. We'll let him do that soon. Maze with the fixers. I didn't get what was happening in this segment. Maybe you guys did. What was their big news? Is there a fixers show, or I didn't understand? And they name a bunch of old time wrestlers, and then May declines to be a guest. I don't know. Dave, Jeremy, did you?
I don't think they knew what the hell was going on.
Yeah, I didn't understand anything on it. You're
I
shrugging.
guess we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. It was like big news. Harley Race, Big Van Vader. And I'm like, half the guys you're naming are dead. But I didn't understand at all, so I'm going to go right past it. We get to the segment of the show that's probably the best in a way. Also, boy, something that really bugged me for continuity. We get May with Black G's and Tyrus. Well, Black G's has the television title.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, aren't you guys on the same page?" And Black G says, "These are rumors." And they have the TV title with them. He's like, "Big man, don't give this up. It's already done.
Yeah.
It was done 2 weeks ago." And what if you lose? And Tyrus says, "Respect, I respect you, Jeezy. It's my call. Make the match." It's already been made 2 weeks ago, guys. Continuity, Dave. I thought that, well, as much as the continuity bothered me, Tyrus is still compelling on the mic. What did you think of this?
I mean, like you said, continuity, but if you don't follow the social media that they put out, as well as watching USA in Power, I guess they're letting Tyrus hold on to the belt, even though he gave up the title. They're letting him hold on to the belt until Hard Times, or until a new TV champ is crowned. So I'm assuming it'll be in the next couple weeks, unless they wait until Hard Times. But I don't know. I mean, the continuity thing blows me every once in a while, but I just need to let it go, not let it bother me, because I have no say in it.
Yeah. I guess you could cover it up, Jeremy, by saying what Dave suggests, like, I guess he just held on to the belt, but we've already gone through the television title qualifier thingies, so why are we doing this now?
It felt like a Fox News segment where they're just wanting to rewrite history how they see it. That's the way I took it anyways. That's all I really have to say on it. It was a complete head scratcher, and it just, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess probably that is all there is to say on it. But then we get the main event. It's the OGK with the professional Rhett Titus. What a great team that is. And versus La Rebellion with Damien Seis. Titus causes Damien to tap after a blocked red mist attempt. I thought it was a good and messy match. What did you think, Dave?
I like the match overall. I like what it's doing in that it's building OGK to go after the tag belts. But in the trios match, none of the tag teams actually pinned each other. The team that won had Rhett Titus go in for the pin on Damien after them blocking the mist, which I'm glad they were able to not have mist quote unquote involved in another win for La Rebellion.
Yeah.
And I think it's building up to, hopefully at Hard Times 3, a championship match between OGK and La Rebellion. And I mean, if they need to have Damien there, have Rhett Titus in the corner of OGK representing the old ROH. But I do like that they're actually building up Rhett Titus, that down the line he could possibly go after the TV title or the junior heavyweight title. But he's getting some impressive wins.
He is. And he looks great in every match that he's in. What did you think of this fight, Jeremy? And is it time for new tag team champions at Hard Times 3?
I don't know if it's time for new tag champions yet. I'm still really big on La Rebellion. But it would be nice to see. It's always, if it's them in the OGK, I wouldn't be upset if the OGK got the win, because I really enjoy what Matt Taven and Mike Bennett are doing. I like watching them wrestle, and any opportunity I get to watch Rhett Titus wrestle is always a good time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. Like I would like to see maybe the OGK get their due by that point. But yeah, again, good messy match. For at the end here. I guess Jeremy is taking care of something. So let's go. Why don't we do while we're here, Dave? Why don't we do the 7 levels of hate around 7 television title defenses, and we'll get back to Jeremy with the. Oh, there's Jeremy now. Why don't we do that then? Okay.
Oh no, go ahead with Dave.
Okay, great. That's fine. So I'm going to let you. Obviously, it's your booking, your fantasy segment, Dave. But for anyone who's watching who might not know what the 7 levels of hate are, or were rather, back in 2011, 2012, I think, or maybe 2010, 2011. Want to explain that to him, and then how would you book that around 7 consecutive title defenses in today's NWA?
Well, back it was Colt Cabana and Adam Pearce. This was when the NWA was basically, I mean, they had their champions, but they were traveling champions. It wasn't a wrestling. It wasn't a federation. It wasn't a strict group of we are the NWA. It was a group effort of different wrestling organizations that would highlight the titles of the NWA at their matches.
Yeah, 2012, by the way, between May and October, these took place.
And it was Colt Cabana and Adam Pearce, and they had the 7 levels of hate. And there's a great, I'd have to go online and find it, but there's a great YouTube video.
I got it right here, my friend. I'll put it in the chat. There you go.
Okay. But it's just, it was a way to highlight your champions in different types of matches, not just a one fall match. It could be a singles match, but it could possibly be in an arena, an empty arena, a full arena, falls count anywhere, a strap match, an I quit match, whatever the governing body decided that this is how it would go. But I mean, they had an Iron Man match, a First Blood match, no DQ. And in seeing this, I mean, 7 matches over. I mean, if you did a match every 2 to 3 weeks, every 2 weeks, that'd be 14 weeks or 21 weeks. You're talking over a quarter or over a third of a year.
Excuse me.
So it could be stretched out. I mean, depending on how you want, it could be used as a highlight match of a pay-per-view. They could do it as a almost like back in the day, WCW did the spin the wheel, make a deal. You could have these different types of matches on a wheel and go, okay, we don't know what's going to happen besides it being a cage match. If there's no cage there, let's spin the wheel and make a deal. And there's 5, 6, 7 different matches that you could have. If you spin it and it comes up Iron Man match, okay, it's a 30-minute Iron Man match. The winner takes it all. It's just, I think it would be a way to highlight either the TV title, or you can even do the national title that way. If you're not going to do it, I mean, Trevor is no nonsense. He just wants to get in there and fight. Scion is making a name for himself as the national champion, and in building up his name and holding that title, he's doing it to show Austin that, hey, Dad, I can do this, or I'm better than you. The TV title, I think, just so it's not just another match, highlight it. It doesn't have to be the 7 levels of hate, but you take a piece of that and say, hey, at a pay-per-view, it's not just going to be a singles match, it's going to be a specialty match. Spin the wheel, make a deal. Do something like that, where you have these 7 levels of hate. They're all on the wheel.
Right.
And you have a chance of, it falling on a no DQ, or an I quit, or a 2 out of 3 match. Whatever, just something to flavor it up. Give it a different taste than everything else on that card.
Yeah, I wondered too if it might be an idea, like a tactic to highlight one specific guy, because it would be, you'd have to face, with a TV title, presumably 7 different opponents, but or at least multiple opponents. And if you had one guy saying, you know what, back in 2012, Cole Cabana and Adam Pearce tore up the NWA over 6 different cities, actually, because they went to Maryland twice, I believe. And they went from California to Maryland to Oregon to Australia. So the NWA right now isn't going to do that. But they did this thing, they had this First Blood, Boston Street Fight, I Quit, 2 out of 3 falls, dog collar, Texas death match, and a steel cage fight. And a lot of things went wrong with that particular series, but that was neither of their faults. But to have somebody that can go, I don't know how you would book it, but if it was a I hate everyone like Trevor Murdoch right now, and if you want a shot at this title, whatever it is, this is what we're doing. We're doing the 7 levels of hate. And I thought if you did it with a TV title, then that guy can cash in after, if he wins his lucky 7, wins his 7th match in a row, and takes a shot at the 10 pounds of gold. But it's interesting. Yeah. Is there enough weight to the 7 pounds of gold, to the 7 levels of hate in NWA history to pull it off, do you think?
Well, I mean, if they were able to maybe get Colt Cabana to come back
Oh,
being that he said he would be willing, if able, to come back to the NWA. Because I mean, right now he's AEW/ROH, but he's basically a trainer. He's not doing much.
Yeah.
no.
Have him come back to either kick off the series or have an explanation of what the 7 levels of hate meant. And it may not be able to do all 7 matches for that TV title, but take those 7 matches, and one of those matches would be the 7th and final match to determine if the TV champion does move on to the 10 pounds of gold.
Right.
So
James Bell points out you could do 7 levels at independent shows.
Yep.
Film it bootleg style.
Yep. And I mean, it's just, like I said, it's the little stuff that if they do, I mean, if Scion is taking the national championship and defending it outside the NWA, and they are able to get some film of it, hey, this is him coming in, here's the start of the match, and here's how the match ended. 30, 45 seconds, maybe a minute at most. This is highlighting this. Do that with the TV title. Whoever the TV champion is, I'm not only highlighting the championship on NWA Power and USA, I'm taking it outside the NWA.
Right.
But if you want a shot at this, you're going to have to play by my rules. And I do the spin the wheel, and whatever it lands on, that's what the match is. They use the levels of hate as a back story.
Yeah.
Take those matches and use that to now defend the TV title outside of the NWA. That make it special. If you want a shot at this, you're not quote unquote one of us. You're not in the NWA currently. So you have to play by our rules. Oh, it's a 2 out of 3 falls match. It's a Iron Man match. It's a I Quit. Hey, look, there's a dog collar. Let's do a dog collar match.
Right.
Make it special. Get some film footage of it and highlight your champion that way, where they don't always have to be on TV or on a NWA program to represent the NWA.
Yeah, great thoughts. You know, by the way, if you I put the link for anyone who wants to watch these 7 levels of hate, which you used to have to order on DVD years ago, but Adam Pierce has it right on his YouTube page. It's there in the chat. If you've got just over 2 hours, it's worth it. It's worth it because it's the story not just from the pro wrestling viewer of 7 different matches and all the promos in between that leads up to it. It's the story of what was going on with the National Wrestling Alliance at the time and how they quite honestly screwed it up, the NWA management, to where it ended with neither one of the men being NWA world champion at the end of it. And and regardless of that, an amazing program from 2 amazing wrestlers at the time, and and really honestly worth watching. And I believe a young gentleman named J. Cal is actually in that movie or that film for about a minute or so.
Yep.
From Alliance Wrestling, obviously the boss. So that's great. Thank you so much for that, sir. And let us go over to our roving reporter, Jeremy, and the UWN championship results from Memphis and Hollywood, sir.
All righty. We start off with championship wrestling from Memphis, and we got Geo Savage and a debuting Cameron Cole. Cameron Cole is part of Teddy Long's New Talent Initiative. Savage gets the win via countout as Cole goes to the back, seemingly not wanting anything to do with the match, but then comes back after the bell has rung to to attack Gio. Then we go to a match between Shalance and Nyx. Um, Nyx plays like she's hurt her knee. This was all a ruse, and she hits the roll up for the win. Then afterwards, Shalance attacks Nyx before leaving the ring. Then we get Dustin with the Skimmerhorns and Dysfunction. Briar Skimmerhorn is still not medically cleared and no timeline on his recovery yet. Shout out to Papa Skimmerhorn, who is recovering from a heart attack and a stroke. And then Dysfunction comes out and challenges the Skimmerhorns to a match, which we jump right into. And Dysfunction ends up stealing the win due to the numbers game. And then we jump to a Fat Jitsu exhibition match. And we start out with K Toomer versus the Hot Shots.
I'm sorry, Fat Jitsu?
Fat Jitsu. K Toomer is the master of Fat Jitsu.
Carry on.
And we start out with him and the Hot Shots, and all three of the Hot Shots come out to the ring. They're taken care of in short order. Then we get Prince Gaston, who suffers a huge corner splash, followed up by a kick to finish him off. Then out comes Big Trouble Ben Bishop. He and K Toomer square off, only for the Hot Shots to get back into the ring. Toomer and Bishop handle the Hot Shots and square up again, but then give each other a knuckle bump. I'm not sure where this is going. Could we possibly see a tag team between these two going up against the Hot Shots down the road, or possibly just those two in a match? I'm not sure, but I'm intrigued because I'm big on both of these guys. Then we go to our main event match, which is the bull rope match between Austin Lane and Matt Williams. Williams jump starts the match real quick, gets in some good offense before getting hung by Lane in the corner by the rope. From there, we get some action on the floor where Lane is able to get the upper hand. Lane gets Williams back in the ring, hog ties his legs, and proceeds to crossface him with the bull rope, forcing Williams to tap out. Then we jump to our final segment of Memphis Wrestling, and it's with Dustin Starr and Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock and the Hollywood Clique. Jimmy is sick and alludes to collusion and conspiracy. He then proceeds to berate Ref Ray Ray and accuses him of taking a payoff. He's stripped of his Hollywood Clique. Chef Ray Ray is stripped of his Hollywood Clique ref shirt, and then he's attacked. Derek the King comes out to make the save for Ray Ray Sanders. Not sure where this is going, but I'm sure it's going somewhere. We'll see more what happens with that next week, I'm sure. Then we jump to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and we open with a celebration for a very deserving Danny Limelight, as he is the number one contender for the UWN World's Heavyweight Championship. But that is quickly interrupted by Baron Black. He comes out claiming the only reason Danny won is because Black wasn't in the tournament. Johnny LaQuasto comes out and grants Baron Black a 1v1 with Limelight next week. Then we go to a tag team match with Miggy Rose and Michael Hopkins versus one of my favorites, the Reno Scum. Hopkins and Rose get the early jump on Reno Scum. Rose and Hopkins are able to keep Thornstowe at bay for a while, but then Lester the Legend is able to get the hot tag and even things up. He sets up, I believe it was Rose for the Scum Stomp from Thornstowe, and then that's followed up by a pin from Thornstowe, and Reno Scum gets the win. We then jump to a backstage segment with Midnight Heat and Guy Tweakazetti. The Midnight Heat and Guy Tweakazetti threw a Noah's Ark party. And if no one knows what a Noah's Ark party, that's where you party for 40 days or 40 nights until the sun comes up and it stops raining. They have a target on their backs, though, as the Reno Scum comes out and tells them that they are the longest reigning tag champs in United Wrestling Network history. And Johnny LaQuasto comes out and says that if Reno Scum next week can beat the Midnight Heat, they will get a title shot for the tag
Wow.
team titles.
That's a
So,
quality match. Yeah.
Yes, they're two of my favorite tag teams in wrestling right now, Midnight Heat and Reno Scum. And I posted in the Discord that Steve Harrington from Stranger Things is Eddie Pearl's father. I'm convinced of it. You're
I
not
saw
going to
that.
convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
Then we go to EJ Sparks and Koto Hiro. Both men put it all out there on the line in this match. There were a couple of rough spots in the match, but it was still very solid showing from both men. In the end, though, EJ hits the roundhouse rhythm for the 3 and gets the win. It was good to see him come back and get a win after both of his losses to Zicky Dice, where they were under curious circumstances, to say the least. Then we jump to it's a tie for my favorite match of this episode, because the main event was really good too. But we get Levi Shapiro and Howdy Price against Lord Crew with Halston Body, and the match starts off, and for the first time in a Lord Crew match since he's been in the UWN, his opponent didn't immediately get flattened. There was both men traded punches, chops, and shoulder blocks. At one point, Halston seizes the opportunity to choke Levi with the scarf while he's leaned up against the ropes, and Lord Crew has the ref occupied. Levi nails a lariat clothesline, flooring Lord Crew, which is a first that I think I've seen for Lord Crew as well. After a few more, Levi hits a drop kick. Crew rolls out of the ring. Levi jumps to the top, gets up on the top rope, and goes for a double axe handle to the outside. But Crew ducks out of the way and goes for a KO punch, which Levi ducks out of the way with, causing Lord Crew to collide with a production team member.
Oh.
From there, Lord Crew gets kind of upset and flips the guy's hat a little bit and gives him a little shove. Then turns around and deals a big boot to Levi, which is immediately followed up by this crew member coming back and retaliating and giving a good shove to Lord Crew. And then it just completely breaks down from that point. You've got security and stuff coming out trying to break up Lord Crew and this production member and stuff. I highly recommend going back and watching that one.
Was it a shoot or was it a work?
I'm not sure. It possibly a shoot, possibly a work. The guy kind of looked like, and I mentioned this in the chat on the stream, that the guy kind of looked like he could be kin to Levi Shapiro.
Oh,
they kind of looked a lot alike facially and stuff. So I don't know. I'm curious. It got me very intrigued to see where this goes now. It was a really good match between Levi and Lord Crew. Like I said, this is the first time that I can recall Lord Crew not flattening the person right off and actually getting flattened himself at more than one point in the match. So I'm curious to see where this goes in the future. There's legs to it. But then we jump to our main event, which is the United Television Championship match. And we've got BHK Kevin Martinson, which is a championship wrestling from a Hollywood vet, and versus our television champion Jordan Cruz. And this probably, I would say that this is a match of the year contender. There was a lot of really good back and forth between these two. It was very well matched up size wise, style, and everything. It was really good. There were tons of counters. It was a true battle of attrition. After multiple near falls for both competitors, Cruz is able to hit the Titan driver for the win. So he retains. Again, if you're not watching Memphis and Hollywood, you should really go and watch them. They are that's some of the best wrestling, if not the best wrestling that I watch every week. You know, nothing against NWA. I know we're an NWA pod, but it just what David Marquez and Dustin Starr are doing in Memphis and Hollywood it's just leaps and bounds, I feel, ahead of what Billy's got going on right now. I'd really like to see the NWA catch up and be on that same tier for me as
It
far
is.
as enjoyment, you know.
Yeah, it is about production value. It is about storytelling. Go see Jordan Clearwater at his best.
Yes.
Give me three names for those listening right now. Like one from Memphis, one from Hollywood, and a tag team from either. Who's ready to be on the next level?
K Toomer, I mentioned him earlier. K Toomer is one that is getting a huge spotlight on him in Memphis right now with his exhibition match that he just had,
Yeah,
and then the wins that he's had over, I believe it was Big Con, who used to be Connor with the Ascension and WWE. He's had a couple of other big wins against some big names. I can't recall off the top of my head right now. Then in Memphis or in Hollywood, Jordan Clearwater is it for our NWA fans. If you really want to see Jordan get the proper spotlight, watch him in Hollywood. And then for tag teams, UWN's killing it right now with Reno Scum. They've got the Midnight Heat. They've got and my mind just went blank.
those are the two big ones for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But I mean, those two right there,
yeah.
you know, it just they're firing on all cylinders, you know.
Yep. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Every time I say, hey guys, I'm going to make this one a bit shorter, maybe because I'm not feeling well, it inevitably goes longer. And I thank you both for hanging out with me to get through this. I had a great time tonight.
Yep.
Everybody in the chat as well who participated. Thank you all.
Yes.
I'll put the socials up there, but tell us, Dave, where can they find you online?
Online, Twitter and Instagram at Dave Scooby. Just hit me up if you have any ideas for fantasy booking, or just any ideas for our segment of the other guys, the other Alliance guys podcast. I've enjoyed the man. It's been what, almost 3 months.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. Looking forward to seeing what happens at Hard Times and even before Hard Times. So keeping my fingers crossed that going to Hard Times, everything is positive, and just looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah. Jeremy, how about you?
You can find me at Twitter at HJWOTS. Again, I reiterate what Tim said. I want to thank everybody that comes in and sits with us every week. It's greatly appreciated, and you definitely make the experience worth it.
Yeah, man. We just, we didn't really know each other, to be honest. We just kind of hit each other up and said, hey, Jay's going to let us do this on his platform.
Yep.
And so I thought, I don't know, maybe we'll just do half a dozen and that'll be it. Here we are at the end of episode 14. So
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy to be here. Our hashtag is the other Alliance guys, or at the Alliance blog is our main producer's handle.
Yep.
It's right there on the screen. Speaking of J. Cal, DKM, and Jaden, they are on tomorrow night, the original OG Alliance guys, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. The Alliance Guys podcast, which has been going for years and years and years and has no, isn't going to be stopping anytime soon. It is your juggernaut of NWA talk, guys. They're on tomorrow night at 8, 5 p.m. Pacific. And, of course, the flagship every Tuesday, 5 p.m. It's the hottest hour before Power, the pre-party with J-Cal. 1 hour before Fight TV issues NWA Power. at 6:05, 5 o'clock. Jay's on Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific to bring you that hour leading up to it and get you all revved up for it. So that's it for us, and thank you all once again. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.